7 years ago, the Resilience Revolution was born. The Resilience Revolution is a social movement where anyone who lives, works or volunteers in the town can be part of making the town an even better place to grow up and thrive in. We were able to do this because we were awarded over £13 million by the National Lottery Community Fund's HeadStart programme. With that funding, we have been able to try some new and exciting things, testing and learning new ways of supporting young people with their mental health. The 7 fundamentals have supported us along the way. These are co-production, systems change, social justice, asset-based, whole town approach, research and evaluation, and being brave and innovative. This film focuses on co-production with young people. It explores how we develop our model, examples of the work, and of course those all-important outcomes that everyone talks about. Our motivation for developing this film is to share our learning in the hope that it can be helpful to others hoping to develop similar work.
Blackpool's approach to co-production. So, as a result of National Lottery Community Funded HeadStart programme, Blackpool has embarked on its own roller coaster journey through the positives, challenges and vast amounts of learning that have come from adopting co-production as an approach to supporting Blackpool residents to bringing about change to systems and services so that society is more equitable and socially just. We are clear that we are always refining and developing our approach, but we have found a model that has worked really well for us, with a focus on building relationships first and foremost to build trust with different stakeholders, and then offering support with shaping co-production opportunities for those who are concerned about an issue impacting them. For many of those who have been involved in positive experiences of having their voices heard and seeing changes happen as a direct result of their contributions, many people involved in the Resilience Revolution have now actually gone on to be paid members of the team, working as sessional workers, for example. We are proud of our model because at all times we are clear about co-production and its strengths, some of the challenges, and crucially, how it is different to other participative approaches to engaging with people.
This model where young people are equals, where they're seen as assets, where their experiences can be utilised to bring about change within their community or their school or their whole town, is something that perhaps differentiates from traditional models. And I guess through a bit of fine-tuning and a bit of learning over the years, we've managed to streamline our approach, our model, if you will. Anybody and everybody can come and get involved in that space, which is working alongside other young people and practitioners to explore identity, explore themselves, explore friendships, etc. But what we wanted to be was, we wanted to be ambitious. We wanted more for Blackpool's young people because we know that they're capable of more. So we introduced this idea of co-production, and beyond that is paid employment, paid formal, structured roles where young people can get to grips with their kind of maybe first experience of employment. They've got money going in their back pocket, but they're getting training, they're getting experience, they're getting bits that they can put on the CV. And all of that kind of progression for us was really, really important.
We're really proud of the fact that we've got to the point now where we're paying people for their lived experience. And for young people, the employment opportunities that we've created have been twofold. We've had apprenticeships, but we've also, really importantly, created sessional worker roles.
A great example of co-production is a group that we put together following a consultation process around the school nurse service. Key learning from the group was we had the right people around the table, which included young people, school nurses, including the team lead, and a professional from the NHS who had a direct link to the service manager and ultimately the decision maker. The group ran for over a year and met regularly, which was once a month, and they always had a clear focus on what they wanted to achieve. Everyone in the group understood what they were there for and the importance of co-production. And finally, the group focused on systems change and the impact those changes could have on young people in Blackpool. And it wasn't until COVID and the pandemic that really made us reference and create the model.
When you outline them sort of like as individual components, like, oh, you know, building relationships are really important, co-production's amazing and can have a really positive impact, and it really makes sense from a social justice perspective to be paying people and really valuing their lived experience and expertise. They all make sense as sort of standalone individual sort of strands of a model, but having something that is there really sort of, and it's quite tangible to sort of have as a way of working, it just kind of made sense to then sort of like put it together and have this almost like Blackpool model, this Blackpool way of working around sort of engaging young people as part of the resilience revolution.
The model really allows us to be ambitious for our young people, but we also really wanted to be able to support young people to step into co-production groups where they might look at more systems change or creating better opportunities for more young people in Blackpool. And then further on from that, you know, can we actually pay young people for their time and their experiences as a young person living in Blackpool and facing some of the issues that a lot of our young people do.
Being with those practitioners and being with those other people who have that experience, you can share your stories with them and you can share different experiences you've been through or things that would have been more beneficial for you at that time, so that it can help other people out who are probably going through the same thing or might go through that thing in the future.
Sometimes young people often feel that their lived experience is quite negative and that it has a negative impact on their life. But for me, during HeadStart, my lived experience has actually turned into a positive because it's given me the directions to be able to shape other young people's lives and when they go through similar things.
I think one of the biggest key elements to making co-production work is building relationships. As sometimes in group dynamics it can be challenging to other people's opinions and everyone's journey is different, so sometimes you have to rely on other people to make things work.
To be honest with you, I was to say that young people being equal to adults and professionals, how do I feel about it? I think it's a really good thing because it demonstrates it doesn't matter about how old you are, you could be 15 or you could be 50, right? Your opinion still matters within the subject. It's speaking to young people or just people who are actually living through it every single day of their life and actually making a change of what they say, not just a professional. So equality to me is everything.
One of the reasons we knew it was really important to start paying people for their time, it's a really important way to try and level out the power dynamic in a co-production project. Even though power does exist, of course it does, that we try and reduce the impact of that because it's the equality in the relationships between people in co-production that's the key. That actually young people have got a really important, a critical part to play actually in helping us to improve our systems. If you don't start where people are at, then you've got a real risk then of people just disengaging or not understanding. But the great thing about bringing young people into the system and being validated for their expertise is that now we can evidence the impact of how young people can advise us, you know, really key bits of work. So we've had our young persons executive group, we've got our youth advisors who are talking and discussing and debating with really quite senior strategic boards and groups about their strategies that they're developing or the work that they're looking to improve.
Young people aren't there for us to just deliver a service to. And the magic happened within our programme when we had a bit of an epiphany and we started to view young people as our colleagues instead of the recipients of our service. Now, they were still receiving support from us as practitioners. However, our relationships shifted slightly, the power shifted slightly, and young people became uplifted and empowered in the environment of co-production. We've got systems change, we've got social justice, we've got being brave and innovative. Well, they live and breathe through co-production. People talk about consultation and co-production as though they're the same thing and interchangeable, but they're not. They're two separate things. Co-production is where everybody around the table has an equal role.
It's enabled me to gain confidence, so I've done a lot of public speaking since being part of this programme, and I've been pushed out of my comfort zone to get involved in different things and make a change for the better across Blackpool.
The relationships I formed at HeadStart is I gained confidence with making friends. When I was in primary, I got excluded like 15 times, but whenever I joined HeadStart, it changed my behaviour completely. Proud of myself, yeah.
Everyone should have their voice heard because they're going to be the ones who's leading the world in the future. Being involved in them has made me a lot more confident in myself and doing things in front of lots of people. It's helped a lot.
The relationships have helped me build confidence and made me more open to people than I used to be. I've gained new friends and just gave me resilience. Logan 5 years ago wouldn't be sitting here in front of a camera. He'd be hiding either behind something or having a temper tantrum.
To be honest with you, it's felt like a really proud moment for me because I know that I'm going to make a difference and actually make a change to my community. When I joined HeadStart, I was not in a very good emotional, mental state then. I didn't know who I was and I didn't like who I was. Today, I love who I am.
Co-production offers something slightly different, a slightly different environment that promotes a sense of belonging, it promotes a sense of purpose, sense of responsibility, and we know from research that those three things can have a massive benefit to our mental health.
It's making young people ambitious for themselves as well, around sort of, seeing young people getting a buzz from, having their voices heard and then, making that step up into paid employment. I think that kind of makes young people ambitious for themselves as well.
We have quite a bit of evidence, especially that's coming up recently, to show that being involved in co-production actually improves health indicators. So things like self-esteem, self-confidence, self-efficacy, and hope for the future as well. Young people are more likely to engage in co-production because it gives them a voice. And what we see in the research is that a lot of involving these young people in co-production is actually creating services that are more accessible and more relevant to them. And so that inspires them to get involved and build trust in the services that they're working with. One of the really exciting things about the work from the youth engagement team is they're getting involvement with young people that are often excluded, that often don't have their voices heard. And some of the things that they're creating are really innovative and exciting and useful for everyone.
Through our learning as a programme and embedding co-production, we know that everybody involved has discovered their own little bit of ordinary magic. And we hope that through sharing our experiences with you through this video, that you'll go away and find your own bit of ordinary magic.
Our experience and the lived experience that we've faced within the town is actually helping to shape the future for the next generation, which makes us feel proud to be from Blackpool, and in my opinion it's made me want to stay in Blackpool more.
We've heard from various different people about co-production in Blackpool. Now let's take a few minutes to hear what Neil Jack, the Chief Executive of Blackpool Council, has to say.
Hi, I'm Chris. I was a young person within HeadStart and now I'm a co-productional peer sessional worker for the Resilience Revolution.
Afternoon, I'm Neil Jack. I'm the Chief Executive of Blackpool Council. I was a young person once, but probably a bit longer ago than you.
Well then, please, could you actually just talk to us about your experience with co-production within the HeadStart programme with young people?
I was involved with HeadStart from the very beginning in terms of the actual bidding process, and while I suppose that very beginning bit wasn't necessarily just as much of co-production as we've got into subsequently, but even the bid itself was done together. So when we went down to London to do our presentation to the lottery to get the money, we did it as a team. So it had some of the young people who had been involved all the way through the process, as well as myself and Pauline. So it was joint from the very beginning. So it isn't just as isn't something that's just come along later. Doing this together as a team, young people, the professionals, people with more experience in different services, all coming together to do it together. So then subsequently I was the chair of the board, and we were involving young people from the beginning then, as well as having a sort of co-chairs to make sure that we did have the voice of young people front and centre all the way through from that point of decision making, and also just about how we were performing and how we were spending our money. So it always has been fundamental to the project as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. I'm glad you actually feel that way, that young people is and the project is very fundamental. It's important to me. Could you tell us, within your opinion, what impact do you think that co-production has had on other parts of the council?
Well, in some places they talk about consulting and they talk about engaging, whereas I think now within Blackpool we're seeing co-production as being fundamental to how we do things. So while it may have started in HeadStart and also in the Better Start programme, the other lottery funded scheme, about engaging with young people, with families, about how we do things here, that has actually become something which is in every part of our services. So it isn't just in those areas where we have had it as part of the initial strategy, it's now going to be part of how Blackpool does things. So recently we had the review of youth services. So we were looking at exactly what is needed across the town. And we'd had an initial view about what the answer would be to that question. We wanted to invest more in services and facilities for young people. But when we did our survey, so about 1,500 people responded to it, it didn't actually come back with the answer that we'd expected it to. So we didn't then dismiss all of that information. That's changed our strategy. So our approach was initially going to be about focusing on providing one main focal point for youth services. And actually what all our young people are asking for is things that were local, things that were within 15 minutes of home. So that is now going to be our focal point. It's going to be youth hubs across the town in each community. So when we say we're doing co-production, we mean it seriously. We want to put young people at the heart of what we're doing when we're talking about services and about support for young people. So we want to make you in control of your own lives and your own futures. We want young people to aspire to stay and grow and learn in Blackpool. So their aspiration is to achieve brilliant things, but achieve them here. So maybe go away to university, but always with a plan of coming back and be a local leader. I mean, I am one of those people who went away and came back, but we want more people to do that, to aspire to be future leaders in Blackpool. And I think the way that we've done our co-production is actually is very much in that kind of language about making sure that young people can achieve anything and they can achieve it here.
I really like how you've adapted your plan towards what young people wanted, not to what you were originally going to do.
And it's easy to stick to your own plan. But what we've found here when we've been looking at co-production in all our different services, because we have Blackpool's Families Rock in children's social care, we've been looking at how the SEND partnerships, special educational needs, does things differently. We've got an autism partnership as well, which works with adults and children's services there. So each of these areas is looking at how we do things. So co-production isn't about only doing what our community says. It's actually about bringing the community together with people who are experts in the field, with people who understand what works well around the world, and coming up with a solution together. We found that certainly in some areas, we have people who really need our support, don't necessarily come and get it. And if you don't understand the why that is, about what is that barrier, then we're not going to achieve great things. I mean, it's a really good example is looking at vaccinations. Lots of people have had their vaccinations for COVID, but you can have the best vaccination in the world, but if people don't take it, they're not going to be protected. So working with our community in every single way, and I mean, even within our COVID vaccinations, we did that. Took the vaccinations to people, talked to them about what made them, why they were scared, why they were worried, and delivered things differently. So that is the way things will be done in Blackpool from now on.
That's really good. My last question, if you were to give any advice to any of the chief executives from other councils on just developing their approach to co-production within the community, what would you say?
You've got to mean it. So don't just put it down as a badge, not saying it's just a fancy version of consultation. You have to mean it. You have to put money behind it, you have to put the time behind it, and you actually have to follow through and deliver things that come from that work. It can be a bit messy, it can be a bit longer in terms of the process, but it's a really good way of connecting your experts, who may be in our own services or in the health service or in the police, with young people and with our families and our community. And then working on those solutions together can have an enormously positive impact. So you do absolutely have to invest in it, and you do have to be, you have to believe and then stick to those conclusions when you come to it. So it will achieve better outcomes, and it does achieve better outcomes by working properly together. So, but you have to hold the faith and actually make sure that you put yourself behind it, and you have to lead it. You have to commit the whole organisation, and you have to make sure that we're all bought into that. And in my job as one of the leaders of the council is to make sure that we're all on board, and everybody is, because they've seen the benefits.
Wow, thank you for meeting with me today. Honestly, it really has helped.
You're welcome. It's nice to have the opportunity, even virtually, to meet up with all the HeadStart people again. So thanks for your time.